I'm calling this special meeting of the Historical Commission to order on March 16, 2016. The first item of business is to consider recommendation number 1 regarding 78 Cranberry Road, and I'll read the recommendation. The Historical Commission believes that the historical significance of the White Barn buildings and property is considerable and has played a significant role in the broader development of the American theater. The Commission recommends that the City of Norwalk explore the feasibility of purchasing the property and developing a plan that is cost-neutral to Norwalk taxpayers over a 5-year period. Sources of revenue to offset purchase and maintenance costs could include selling a small portion of the property that is not deemed historic or environmentally sensitive, pursuing open space and conservation grants in conjunction with Save Cranberry and possibly the Norwalk Land Trust, as well as preservation grants for the structures on the property in conjunction with the Norwalk Preservation Trust. Additionally, the city should work with the Mayo Lortel Foundation to allow them a 3-year period to raise the significant funds to either purchase or long-term lease a substantial portion of the property, which could include a restoration of the barn as a theater and museum, before pursuing other opportunities to recapture the city's investment in the property. The action tonight is to approve or reject the recommendation as written above, or approve it with modifications that Commission may suggest. I'd like to have a motion to put this on the floor, and then we can discuss it. Holly makes the motion, and
I'll second it.
Rick seconds it. Is there any discussion on the item?
I just wanted to know if the group here, if 3 years, is that something that they could work with for raising the money, or?
It seems to be, when I've spoken to them. I think that, obviously, as we flesh this out and negotiate it, if it needs to be different than that, that's something we can certainly look at. But I just try to put a shell in place.
So, a couple things. So, the appetite, I think, of the council to purchase a property has been not high right now. So, do we know what it would cost to buy it? Are you talking? I assume we're talking about a city buying it outright and then
yes,
somehow paying for it over the 5 years.
Yes. We believe it's somewhere between $3.5 and $5 million. However, we've not talked to the owner of the property, whoever that actually is, and had any discussions at this point. So, one of the first things to do would be to try to contact either Special Properties LLC or the Connecticut Friends School, once we determine who actually owns the property and who's making the decisions, to figure out how much they want. But we believe it's somewhere between $3 and $5 million.
And that's purely to purchase the property and not to do anything with the theater, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that's another issue. I mean, part of this, I think we'd have to identify some grant funding pretty much up front to do some stabilization work on the buildings that are needed. So as well.
David, I have just a question. Is anybody preparing on national nomination?
I don't think anybody's written a nomination. Todd Bryant from the Norwalk Preservation Trust did send me a copy of a letter he received from the State Historic Preservation Office deeming the White Barn eligible to be listed on the National Register. So then the nomination would have to be written to put on there.
Because we probably can get a lot of funding through.
Absolutely.
that.
I mean, that would be one of the first things
Right.
you'd do. So. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm speaking as loud as I can. We'll do the best we can. The minutes will be available. Anything else?
Yeah, a couple other things. So, have you spoken with the foundation at all about this approach, and have they bought into it, or?
They have indicated that they are receptive to it.
Okay.
We haven't talked any details because it's just all so broad at this point.
Yeah. And what would you envision the next step being?
Sitting down with the Corporation Council and the mayor and the council president and lining that out. I have spoken to the mayor and the council president about it.
And we're not really getting into the operation of the theater at this time, are we? Or just to take care of the property?
This is just to take care of the
To save
property,
the build, the
and
structure.
secure it, to save the land, and to save the structure.
Okay.
We won't have any say in that anyway, in the operation of the theater wise.
Right.
Okay.
All right, is there any other questions, discussions? Dana, do you want to take a look? We're on the first item, the first recommendation, item 2.
Yeah, I did read this.
And so again, and so not to belabor the point, what we'd be doing is talking to the council about putting the money up and then coming up, well, before we do that, we come up with an approach in terms of how we'd pay for it. And
Right.
Okay.
And the property owner also has to indicate that they're
certainly.
willing to negotiate with
Right.
us, so whoever that is.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Dana, any questions?
Not that I can think of. I mean, have we resolved number 3, who's the?
No, we haven't gotten to that yet. We're on number
Oh,
2,
sorry.
item 2. That recommendation, we're going to vote on that.
So move it.
It's moved, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 3 on the agenda. Consider recommendation number 2 regarding 78 Cranberry Road. Questions have been raised regarding the ownership of 78 Cranberry Road and the validity of the zoning and notice of demolition applications that have been made pertaining to the property. The town clerk's office has confirmed that the Connecticut Friends School Corporation, believed to be a 501c3 not-for-profit entity, retains ownership of the property. Signed affidavits granting power to duly authorized agents of the property owner are required to obtain permits when applications are not made directly by the property owner. Allowing non-authorized agents to request zoning changes or demolitions on property that these agents do not own or have the legal authority to represent could pose significant liabilities for the city of Norwalk. Additionally, there were concerns expressed at the public hearing held by the commission on March 2nd as to whether or not this property is exempt from City of Norwalk property taxes. The Historical Commission recommends that the Corporation Council and tax assessor investigate these issues. The action is to either approve and reject this recommendation as written above, or to approve it as, with the following modifications. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor? Lisa?
Motion.
Suzanne seconds. All right, any discussion on this item?
Previously, it was owned by a 501c3, so there weren't property taxes being paid on it? Is that
Correct.
why this is-
That's what we believe. I mean,
Yeah.
there have been no property taxes paid because we believe that they were given that status because the Friends School owned it. But the issue is whether the Friends School owns it or whether Special Properties owns it, and who's filing for applications. There was a zoning application filed, I believe, by Special Properties. There was not a notarized affidavit giving them the authority to do that. There was a letter, but not a notarized affidavit, which is what generally you have to have for actions on property in Norwalk and most other towns. So we also had heard and understood that the Friends School gave a deed in lieu of foreclosure. That hasn't been filed yet, so they seem to be still the property owner. Some people speculated that this was being done so that the developer wouldn't have to pay property taxes on it, and I don't know whether that's true or not, and I'm not making any judgment. We're just asking the Corporation Counsel's office to take a look at
Investigate
it.
So all we're doing is following up on the comments made, and as you said, not making a judgment that is or is not the case, just to have them look into it and satisfy themselves that
Correct.
the laws are being followed.
Yeah, these issues were brought up at the public hearing, and we're responding to that. Any other questions, discussions, comments?
David, I'll need to abstain on this because I've already started some of the process.
Okay, great. All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? Abstentions? Mr. McQuaid? Motion carries. Item 3, thank you.